So here we are again on part 2 of making Boba Fett's Slave 1, the Revell model kit, and in this video we're going to be painting up the model. So here we go. So as you can see, we got the finished model there without the windshield on it, and we've mixed up some black paint. I'm using acrylic here. I use acrylics. I don't use I don't use proper model paints. Acrylic seems to be okay, and you can seal it at the end if you want to. I've not had any problems up to now. I'm just a mere amateur feeling my way through. Anyway, as you can see there, we've watered down a bit of acrylic paint and we're putting some washes into the mechanical areas of the spacecraft. So I'm just applying the washes with a paintbrush, as you can see, and then wiping off with a cotton bud, or Q-tip as you might say in America. Using a combination of Q-tips, cotton buds and tissue paper. So just kind of building up the layers. You want to put the layers down relatively thin as not to ruin the detail, and you get a better coverage of paint also. Probably mindful to point out the acrylic paint, some colours don't seem to create a good solid base, so maybe in the future I'll look into some more suitable model paints. But so far so good. Not any problems up till now, and you can always get over problems as and when they arise. So continuing applying the washes there and getting the black wash into all the details and leaving the highlights exposed by using the toilet paper, tissue paper and cotton buds. I find like using the washes you get a nice result, bringing out all those details. So there's the stand. I'll probably paint the stand up at some point. Stand comes in handy for this particular model for painting as well, so you can just hold the stand. So I've got some reference pictures there. My interpretation of the colours isn't exact, and in places, say for instance like the wing arches, they sort of look like wheel arches. I think the green is more of a sort of khaki green, army green, and I applied the green maybe a little bit too dark. So back to where we're painting, I'm putting a dark grey over some of the body parts there at the front. I'm going to put a dark grey stripe along the back as well, and I think I painted the guns in the same dark grey. So I'm also using the instruction book as a colour code reference also, along with the photographs. So I've checked out quite a few photographs. There seems to be quite a few differences between photographs, the actual instruction book, and researching how other people have painted this model. I put a red detail on the top here. We're mixing up some red now, so I've mixed up some red and darkened it with some black to kind of give you that sort of blood maroony looking red to paint around the base of the spacecraft Slave 1. But I also painted on the top with this red, but I noticed in a lot of pictures the top bit was painted in the green. I decided to go for the red anyway. And there are people out there that will pick up on all these details. When I did the TIE Interceptor last year, somebody knew all about the engine and everything, but I don't go too deeply into it. Although I wouldn't mind buying those books. Haynes have published some manuals where you can like get manuals on TIE fighters, X-Wing fighters, the Millennium Falcon, and Haynes is actually not too far from here, only about 3 or 4 miles from here, and they make books on cars engines and all that type of thing. So anyway, we're applying the green now to the arches, and I probably went a little bit too dark, but I mixed up some green with some white and a little bit of yellow. Actually, the concoction I just described there is for the main body of the slave one. The wheel arches was a green mixed with a bit of black, but like I say, my green was probably a little bit too dark there. I just painted some details on the side, some panels, and painted in red there. And that's the red I was talking about on the top. You want to try and get your lines nice and straight. So I had a bit of a shake, probably too many G&Ts, but I got a little bit of a micro shake anyway when I'm doing models. Get as close as you can as possible, but all's not lost if you do have a little bit of a jiggledy line, because we will apply a wash over the top of all the colours to give that sort of worn, used look, and that kind of blends in the colours anyway. So now all we're doing is going over the paint, just applying some more layers just to solidify the colours. And when I put the first coat on, I did actually wait a day and let the paint dry before applying the successive layers. You see the wing arches. Dark grey parts. I did actually use a hairdryer as well between coats, because when we get around to doing some weathering and some wearing looks, you want the paint to be totally dry, because we'll be using wire wool, some fine wire wool, and I also used a knife to scratch out some wearing on the body of the spacecraft. So as you can see, the wings move, so that works where we built the model in the first place. And the guns move as well. Got a bloody cough there. So got a little bit of yellow there just to touch up around some areas of the mechanical parts around the spaceship, including the boosters underneath the Slave 1, 2. Like I said in the first video, I think there's some transfers that came with the model, but I didn't use them. They're very small, and I didn't think they were too important to apply on this particular model. But again, the purists will probably tell me off for that. So now the model's dry after applying those coats of paint, and I'm using a small craft knife just to scratch in some scratches on the Slave 1 model, just to give a bit of battle damage and all that type of thing. And we're using the kind of a fine grade wire wool over the top of the paint, just to give it that worn look. So do that all over the model, but I'm sort of mindful of where to put the wire wool onto the spacecraft, looking at pictures and all that type of thing, trying to get as close as possible, but obviously it's not going to be totally exact. So after we've done that wearing and weathering, we're applying another wash of watered down black acrylic paint. And we'll do the same as what we did at the beginning of the video, is to apply the wash and then wipe it off with some tissue paper and use Q-tips also. I'm using dry and wet tissue paper sort of alternately as I go through weathering the model. So on the underside there, as you can see. Just wiping some of those details out with the Q-tip and the tissue paper. Got a bit of a heavier dose of black there. There's a wash. Getting into all those nooks and crannies. Where the paint may dry out a little bit too quickly, you might want to do the washes in sections. So wash on and wipe off. Sound a bit like the Karate Kid there. If you go too heavy, you can sort of touch things up as you go. Just speeding through the process there. Just applying washes and using the wire wool. And there we are. Job done, and all we need to do is stick on the windshield and we're ready to go. So just glue in the windshield. Or space shield. So just applying the glue there with a knife. My glue dispenser messed up, so I was applying the glue with a knife there. And there we are, job done. Ready for a lift to Bespin. So there's the model completed. I think it didn't turn out too bad. So that's it. That's the end of this series with Boba Fett's Slave 1. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and over and out for now.